KCRG TV9's Denny Frary is retiring. But how do you part company with a broadcasting legend? How do you say thank you for being more than a true professional, for being a behind-the-scenes source of laughter, kindness, and fellowship? How do you say goodbye to a friend? For the next half hour, we'll try. Here are your reluctant hosts, two of Denny's closest friends, TV9's John Campbell and Bruce Auney.
We have come to the end of an era.
We certainly have. A local legend is retiring. For the past 35 years, Denny Frary has predicted the weather right here in eastern Iowa.
And through those years, he has really worked his way into our hearts as well. We have had the privilege, John and I, of working with Denny every day here at TV9. And, John, that adds up to a lot of years, a lot of newscasts, and a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. He always kept things on the light side around here. I think he knows more jokes than Leno and Letterman combined, don't you?
Definitely.
He has kept things light. But you may remember him when he started working at KDUB in Dubuque in 1972. Here's a look back at Denny's television career, and who better to start it off than Denny's own mother?
I think I knew from the time he was able to walk around, really, that he would someday be doing something as a performer of some sort. But I don't think he even thought about meteorology until it worked out that way.
I grew up in Prophetstown, Illinois, and at the time in Prophetstown they took the junior high school kids to Chicago every spring. The school would always start the day by going to the Allerton Hotel and the Cloud Room, which is at the top of the hotel, to see Don McNeil's Breakfast Club. And that was like an ABC radio show, a band, a comedian, a male vocalist, a female vocalist. And I walked in, and from the very beginning, I thought, wow. And I'd say from that moment on, I wanted to be in broadcasting.
When he graduated from college, University of Illinois, he had his job lined up, and he was chief meteorologist right away.
I accepted the job in Dubuque at KDUB because the owner looked right at me. He said, "Dennis, you come here, we'll let you do everything." You know, I didn't from the beginning think I want to be a TV weather person. I really thought I'd be the next Walter Cronkite, but that didn't work out. From there I went to KCRG because the station went out of business in Dubuque. So I had 2.5 years there, but Dubuque was a fun place. I enjoyed Dubuque, but I was ready to go on.
I'm KCRG weatherman Denny Frary. Besides the WR100 radar in the Weather Lab, we receive a continual flow of fresh weather information. We have a teletype hookup with the weather wire from the National Weather Service offices.
And he came and applied with us and had the background that we thought he needed, besides the fact that he was a very handsome young guy and a lot of personality and charming. But I remember shortly after he came to work for us, to get a little better acquainted, I went down to his little cubby hole. But I said, "Denny, what's the forecast for tonight?" And he said, "Dark." So, okay. I knew this was going to be a long ride.
But I remember after I accepted the job, I said to myself, I'll be here at least a year, but certainly no more than 2. It didn't work out that way. Yeah, I stayed for 32 years, yeah.
3 degrees in Miami, a high pressure out here, supplementary, you know. So we're going to keep the high, keep the southwest winds, and we're going to keep the warm weather, too. And we'll look at Iowa in that tremendous situation after this.
Frary. No other weatherman has the services of a staff of meteorologists 24 hours a day, plus color radar, plus WR100. And the best thing is that Frary knows how to make complicated weather data interesting and informative. When you need somebody you can trust, you need Denny Frary. More and more people are watching him for the simple reason that he's a real pro. Compare TV9's weather news and you'll know what we're talking about. Be one of the people who know, because the people who know are on 9. Channel 9, KCRG TV.
I just remember Denny as a young, wet behind the ears.
Bob Brooks had been there a long time by the time I showed up. And believe it or not, Bob Brooks and I shared an office in the old Miller building. Talk about the odd couple, right?
Larry, right now the elements are none too pleasant. Actually, it seems closer to Christmas than to Easter. But we
I did remember he had no background in meteorology. I remember that. And so he was, just like most of us in those early days of television, it was basically on-the-job training.
This is quite a significant day for my return, too. This is what's known as the spring equinox.
It impressed me from the very beginning. Honestly, it impressed me that it was a family-owned, home-owned operation. And plus, they were building this brand new building, brand spanking new building.
Here in Telecenter, we've got 3 General Electric 350 color studio cameras. Now, we can only show you 2 of them here because the 3rd one's out there.
I hosted a show. It was called The Morning Show, and then it evolved into Good Morning Eastern Iowa. And it did vary a little bit on time, what time we'd show it. But we had a lot of people on. We had, as I say, the great, the near great, and the in great all in the program one time or the other. Every year they used to send me out to Hollywood to talk to the ABC stars, which I enjoyed.
Sounds real dull, doesn't it? I kind of like the idea of the show. He's a pretty neat guy. Dick, it's been a year since we've had a chance to came along at a time when the American public wanted that kind of show. Jackie, when you came into the
So yeah, everybody from Jane Seymour and Lawrence Welk and Hal Linden to Robin Williams. I interviewed him, and nobody knew Robin Williams. And he was just so funny.
Where'd you get that weird voice?
This one?
Yeah. No. The one
it's these pads. I took them off and...
A change.
Did some telethons. I think in the early years they were for cerebral palsy. We'd have big name entertainers come in, for the telethon. Like one year we had a lot of the cast of Happy Days come in, and the fellow who played on the Brady Bunch, the older son.
Well, I prepared by taking a swim, taking a sauna, and a nap.
We did the high school challenge and had the metro schools on, playing each other.
It was in 1988. Don Regan stated in his 1988 book that President and Mrs. Reagan's activities were often influenced by what? Pseudo-science. It goes to Prairie, Adam.
Astrology?
He is right. 5 points for Prairie.
What I learned about that is that there's some pretty smart kids. There are really some smart kids in Eastern Iowa. Many, many times I was halfway through the question and they'd buzz in and answer it. And I'm going to miss the people like crazy. But the job, I'm kind of happy to turn over to somebody else, because for 35 years I've done it, and there's no point in being too greedy. I'll let somebody else have some fun. And it has been fun. It really has been fun. I wouldn't trade a second. I really wouldn't.
Now, Denny accomplished many firsts during his broadcasting career. He was the first KCRG meteorologist to do a live report outside the TV station. Denny had to crawl out a window at the Cedar Rapids City Hall to do his weather report that day. He was also the first meteorologist to fly in Newscopter 9 with Captain Bobby Ratliff.
Boy, a lot of firsts. And from markers to computer graphics, times have really changed since Denny began predicting the weather in 1972. We'll show you how technology has affected Denny's job. And be sure to stick around for a very special goodbye at the end of this program. We'll be right back.
But Denny was always a gentleman. He did give us a little rough times once in a while. But I just never forget that. 3, 2, 1. Denny, you're on.
Hi, Denny. All of us at Holly's have enjoyed your friendship for many years. It's an ego trip to have a celebrity for a client. But we learned early on that you were so personable and down to earth and appreciative that you soon went from a celebrity client to a celebrity client friend. We hope you enjoy your retirement with good health and sunny skies. Thank you for your business and your friendship. Hit 'em long and straight. God bless you.
Holly's Shop for Men, Lindale Mall.
No, he never planned to be a meteorologist. And he never really studied to be. But then he had to study once he became a meteorologist.
Well, that would be appropriate. We'll see. You just be a good boy and we'll take care of you.
Welcome back to this farewell special. We're saying goodbye to Eastern Iowa's most well-known meteorologist, Denny Frary.
3.5 decades ago, magnets and markers were what really made up a weather forecast. Well, now computers and radars dominate the profession. Denny has really adapted to all of the changes with his own particular style.
Everybody in advance of this got cold again because of the northwest winds. Buffalo.
I did the magnetic letters at KDUB, but when I got to KCRG, it was plexiglass. We had plexiglass over a national map and an Iowa map, and essentially there wasn't much else that was different initially, but we'd have our magic markers, and at the end of the show, I'd take the Windex and spray that off and get ready for the next day. And then I got the bright idea that because we had chroma key, I could draw on little maps and put them on as camera cards, and cameras would shoot the maps.
Because of the cloudiness and a little bit of rain out there.
And then I would say it was in the early 80s when we got into computer graphics. And that was brand new to me, and I didn't grow up with computers, so it wasn't the easiest thing.
Denny Frary's weathercast has earned the seal of approval of the American Meteorological Society. Boy, more rain.
And it wasn't too many years. I was at KCRG when we began to realize we've got to really do the severe weather coverage as we should be doing it. And I'll never forget talking to Bobby Ratliff live on the air from Newscopter 9. And just the words he said.
Like that where you can't see it. Exactly. Oh, he sees it. He sees it right now. Bobby Ratliff sees the tornado. Bobby, take it away.
And what he was seeing was the funnel, which eventually became a level 3 tornado, which tore through Washington. And from then on, I think folks in eastern Iowa knew that when severe weather came, we weren't going to be perfect. But man, we'd cover it as best we could.
The best thing I can talk to you about right now is a live shot from TV9's First Alert Pinpoint Doppler radar.
I'm always amazed by the way that he did severe weather. Almost like a conductor. He was very good at orchestrating everything. He could keep everything straight.
That's why we're here, and that's why we're staying on the air. I'm joined by our two meteorologists here, Scott Lind and Joe Winters.
And now what's coming up as soon as I leave KCRG is like going to be fantastic. So we've come a long, long ways.
Well, right now we're undergoing an entire change in the weather lab. We will have the ability to really tell a much better weather story in the sense of being interactive with the map. Much like you could with the crayons or grease pencils that you could in the past, we're doing it with computer graphics. So we'll actually be able to take move graphics, position graphics live on the air as you're watching it. Essentially, our hand becomes the computer mouse, and we can move and do all sorts of things to help you understand the weather a lot better. Denny's, an icon in eastern Iowa, and it's hard to replace that. You'll never replace it. But it's something I look forward to, certainly. I look forward to the challenge, but I'm scared to death.
I've been on TV for 35 years, at KCRG for 32 years, and I think we're moving into a new era of technology, which viewers are going to see very, very quickly now. And I just thought it was just an appropriate time to leave.
And a final note. At TV9 Eyewitness News, we know how important weather is to you. We know how it can affect you emotionally, physically, and for some of you in the pocketbook. Now, obviously, we can't do anything to change the weather, but what we can do is report it to you accurately and clearly. And at TV9, we're ready.
Now, did you know that Denny is an artist, too? Back in 1988, he used to draw caricatures of Iowa coaches, and John Campbell did this story on Denny's hidden talents.
Denny Frary is the in-house artist. Denny added the old coach to his predictions when he got his color computer several years ago.
He's got two things that I love. He's got, for one thing, the shades, and you notice it starts looking a bit more like him when we get the shades. And also this chin. He's got one of the world's great chins. It's the predominant feature. And like I say, he's not the same every week. I've had him in Bermuda shorts, but his legs, John, they're a little bony. You've seen the coach's legs, haven't you?
Denny, I'm going to keep this on a high level here.
Well, I'm not trying to be negative, John. I don't want to be negative.
Ah, the old coach. You know, there's more to Denny than forecasts and fancy graphics. Meet the people who spend time with Denny outside the office and find out what Denny plans to do with his retirement. That's next.
Denny, to me, is a very sweet, innocent type human being. I just think he's done a marvelous job, and I wish him nothing but the best for his future retirement.
Hi, Denny. It's Jenna Miller. Everyone's going to miss you so much. Happy retirement.
Welcome back to this special program about Denny Frary's retirement. Well, Denny is much, much more than a meteorologist.
He certainly is. He's also a member of the Salvation Army.
Denny has been an advisory board member for over 27 years now, and he has been a key part of telling the Army story to our community. The Salvation Army, we're not always really good at telling our story. We're good at serving, and so we've always depended on board members to get our story out, and Denny has been a man of compassion and action to get our story out, and without him, I don't think the Army would have the support that it has in our community.
So I always say I started out liking the Salvation Army, and then I fell absolutely in love with the Salvation Army. And the reason is they're not a fancy organization. They don't have big, elaborate offices. Everything they do is meant to help people, you know. And they just ask the question, how can we help? And then they help them. And so the people at Salvation Army are my heroes. They really are.
More than being a board member, and more than being our wonderful liaison to KCRG, he's been a friend. And I always have felt that he's encouraged Chris and I. And he's always been just a cheerleader. And there's days that it's very daunting to do the work that we do. And he would come in and give you a hug and just tell us that we can do it. And he just was such a great source of encouragement for us.
Denny was recognized for his longtime support of the Salvation Army in 2004 with the Distinguished William Booth Award. The brass statue is named for the Army's founder and first general. The award honors volunteers whose service to humanity is unparalleled.
Well, now it's time to find out what you may be wondering, what Denny plans to do with his retirement. We'll show you where he's going and what some of his co-workers have to say about this wonderful man when we come back.
Hi, I'm Alicia Richards. I left KCRG in 1994, and I have missed Denny Frary ever since. We had so much fun. Denny is just as funny and pleasant off the air as he is on. Denny, you had a great career, and you're going to have a great retirement. Let me know how low your handicap gets.
He's totally a big charmer. He's a big, lovable fuzzball of a meteorologist. I'm going to miss Denny. I mean, he's that cadre of people that were there when I showed up.
Welcome back to this Denny Frary farewell special. You may not realize it, but Denny is actually younger than both of us.
Oh, we hate to admit it, but that's right. He is retiring at age 56, and he plans to make the most of this well-deserved break.
He's always wanted to live here. He's always wanted to retire here. And this is nothing new. This is where he wanted to be. This has been his dream, to come back to Prophetstown.
Well, I loved growing up there. I had a very happy childhood, you know, really happy childhood, and it just has so many good memories for me. And I've realized as time has gone by that that's where my roots are, and that it just seems to make good sense, and I don't know where else I'd really want to live. So, yes, it's a small town, but I'm kind of a small town guy, really. I like the small towns, and so back I go, and I'll pick up where I left off, really, when I went to Dubuque to take that first job. My favorite time to play golf is in the evenings. Well, of course, I haven't been able to play evening golf for 35 years, since I was a very young man. And now, at long last, I'll be able to have a little supper in the evening and say, I think I'll go out and play some golf.
Well, now it is time to say goodbye.
And Bruce, this might be the most difficult part of the show. Denny has been just a great friend all these years here at Channel 9, and it's not going to be the same without Denny Frary sitting in that chair over there and doing the weather and making all of us laugh and smile and just having a good time.
That's what I'm going to miss the most, I think, is the laughter.
Yeah.
Denny would have a means of easing any tension that was in the newsroom or here on the news set and making us all just laugh and relax and feel so much better, and on we went. But I'm really going to
And he could tell stories, couldn't he? He has a memory. He has a memory unbelievable, and he knows the history of Channel 9 better than anyone, and we're really going to miss him.
Pull them out of the air just like that. I don't know where they come from.
It was enjoyable, and we're really going to miss him. We'll leave you now with some of our fondest memories of Denny. This is what the people who know him best will miss the most about him.
You know, he knows TV because he's watched it evolve. And I think everything that people throw at him and say, here, can you do this? You know, the producers are constantly saying, go 30, go 20. Can you do the weather, you know, the final weather in 10 seconds? Yeah, he can. He can do it all.
I think that Denny is very much himself on the air, very comfortable, very funny, he just has a great sense of humor. But then there's this other side of Denny. Denny always has a joke ready, and they're not always ones we can use on television.
Okay, here's one I really love, and that is, did you ever hear about the duck going into the feed store? Duck waddles into the feed store. The guy looks down and he says, what do you want? The duck says, you got any fish? He says, no, we ain't got no fish. Duck waddles out. Same time next day. Duck waddles in. Guy said, what do you want now? He says, you got any fish? He says, this is a feed store. We got hog feed, we got cattle feed, we got chicken feed. We don't have any fish. Get out of here. And the duck waddles out. He comes waddling in, same time next day. He says, you got any fish? He said, the guy said, I told you 3 times now, we don't have any fish. This is a feed store. If you come in again and ask, I'm going to nail your little web feet to the floor. Duck waddles out. Same time next day, duck waddles in. What do you want? Duck says, you got any nails? He says, no, we don't. He says, you got any fish?
Another time I remember, on my way to work, I saw a formation of clouds I had never seen before. Very unusual, and they were storm clouds. It looked like they were coming in. So this is to tell you what kind of a guy Denny Frary really is. I went down to his office, and I said, Denny, I just saw some clouds that I've never seen before. I said they were dipping like this out of another formation above. Well, he said those are called mammatus clouds. I said, oh, really? What in the world are mammatus clouds? Well, he turned a deep red as he reluctantly explained to me. They're called that because they resemble mammary glands.
Denny makes me smile. Denny makes me laugh, and I'll miss that. I'll miss that a lot.
One part of it is he's just a very good golfer. His short game has always just been amazing. He may not be the longest hitter off the tee, but he puts it right down the middle and then puts it on the green and makes a birdie or par putt every time, it seems like. And it's very frustrating for guys like me.
One thing he loves to do, he'll come by, he'll say, Johnny, I've got to go do the 5 o'clock show. You just sit there and watch the ball games, but I've got to go work. You know, he gives me that line all the time. And,
Denny likes the claw machine. You see him at grocery stores, you know, your motorized little hand that comes down, tries to pick up a toy. Denny can't pass by a claw machine. He has to drop in $1 and try to grab a toy. And then he collects them at the end of the year, donates them to the Salvation Army. Apparently, it's a considerable collection every year. Imagine the weather guy at the claw.
Oh, Denny is a total ladies' man. You know, one day I said, Denny, you're always wearing suits. And he said, yeah, but I've got great legs. And I said, you have great legs? I said, I find that hard to believe underneath the suit coat. He said, you just wait. When I come in here before maybe one of my golf games or something and I'm wearing shorts, I'll come get you. And I thought, oh, Lord, what is this? And sure enough, he has great legs. He came and got me. He had shorts on. I said, Denny, those legs are outstanding. And he said, aren't they? Look at that.
Hi, Denny. It has been such a pleasure to work with you through the years, and I'm going to miss you, Guy. I really mean that. It's got me starting to think about when the end of my career is coming, especially since I'm older than you are. But I really wish you all the best, and hopefully I'll come over to Prophetstown and have a little golf game with you at some point. Look forward to that. Good luck.
Well, Denny, it's been a long run together. It's been a great run together. I don't know of anybody else I've worked with for 27 years, and we've had a good time. We've kidded each other a lot, and you know, you mean the world to me. I'm going to miss you. This place won't be the same, but Godspeed, hit them straight, have fun.
But hopefully, you know, people smile. That's all I can ask. If I can leave people with a smile, that's all I've really ever wanted to do, to tell you the truth. Well, it's just about time to say goodbye, and I want you to know that I have been blessed beyond all measure by the people I have worked for and the people I have worked with, and my gratitude certainly goes to them. But most of all, my gratitude goes to the people I've really worked for, and that is the viewers of Eastern Iowa. So I would say, in summation, you have been kinder and more generous to me than I've ever really deserved. But I thank you for all your kindness over the years and for all that generosity. I will miss you. The job I've done for 35 years, I may not miss the job, but I will miss people like you. Thank you for your support, and God bless.